KMIR Sports. From the Legal Docs by Me Sports Desk, here's Julie Bueller.
Down in 12. Cook, design roll out to the right. He threw it up for grabs, and it's fielded by Clowney, whose ankle tackled by Latavius Murray.
Now, that was Texans defensive end Jadeveon Clowney snagging his first ever career interception. And that's when the NFL's top-ranked defense is collecting interceptions like that. You know, it's going to be a tough day for any opposing offense. But the Raiders not only had to face the Texans' #1 ranked defense, they also were starting a third-string quarterback, and he threw that interception in the first quarter. But could there be a silver lining to the dark clouds surrounding the Raiders' first playoff game in more than a decade? Well, I looked hard, Raider fans, and no, there aren't. I tried to find some, but it was a tough day for you, Raider fans. And the Raiders' top-flight offense never took off, and part of that was the pounding of the Texans' defense. And after throwing this dazzling interception, it was actually the Texans that took off, and they'd score immediately thereafter on a Lamar Miller 4-yard touchdown run. The Texans actually took a 10-0 lead halfway through the first quarter, punching it in right there. But the Raiders, they are a well-coached team, and that means they don't give up. Look at this really nice punt return from Jalen Richard as he bounces off would-be tacklers, goes 37 yards before getting punched out of bounds. And then the Raiders responded. Here's Latavius Murray with a rushing touchdown of his own closing the gap. But I wish it would have gotten more carries. He only got 12 carries on the day, and that was the reason the Raiders lost this game. Oh, and then, by the way, Brock Osweiler, he was paid $72 million for a reason. That throw, one of them. DeAndre Hopkins on the receiving end of that, and then DeAndre Hopkins on the receiving end of this, as the Texans take a 20-7 halftime lead, and they would turn it into a 27-14 victory. Rookie Connor Cook for the Raiders finished 18 of 45 for a touchdown, but he also threw 3 interceptions.
It was his first start on the road in a playoff game against the #1 ranked defense. It was a tough draw for him.
It was a tough draw for him, and of course without his starting left tackle as well. So while the season ends for the Raiders, their core of young talent means next year they have another shot at doing something special. Meanwhile, the Texans, they're doing something special right now. They're one of only 5 teams in the last 24 years that have made the playoffs while preparing to host the Super Bowl. Incredible. Speaking of the Super Bowl, the Seattle Seahawks, they've played in 2 of the last 3. Can they get to Houston and play in another one? Well, after seeing today's game, the Seahawks hosting the Detroit Lions, we had 3+ hours of real time, 60 minutes of game action, but the entire game is pretty much summed up in this play. 4th and goal, Russell Wilson rolls out and finds who? Paul Richardson? For what? That kind of grab? Are you kidding me? Yeah, Paul Richardson catches it and scores the first points of the game. And the Seahawks wouldn't trail in this game. And oh yeah, Thomas Rawls exploded against the Lions defense. This catch, though, it's something everyone's going to be talking about come Monday. Rawls set a new franchise postseason rushing record. He finished with 27 carries and 161 yards and a touchdown. And at the beginning of the year, I picked the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl. This is the kind of game that exemplifies what they do so well. You can't quit on this team. They never quit on their fans. The Lions had chances, just too many mistakes. The Seahawks will travel to Atlanta to face the Falcons next week. And how about a little Kings update, too, because they got an overtime win over the Minnesota Wild. So congratulations to all the Kings fans out there. Let's take you out to the highlights here. Now, the Kings have struggled. They've lost 6 of their last 9 games. The Wild, they have not been struggling. They lead the Western Conference in goals and have 13 of their last 14 wins in their last contests, and they go up 2-0 over the Kings here. But you gotta love the Kings' scrappiness. Marian Gaborik, 2nd goal of the season, and he ties the game at 2 right here as the Kings are making the comeback. But the Minnesota Wild, as I mentioned, very good this year, and they tie the game at 3 goals apiece, and it's actually Kings defenseman Zach Martinez that allows Alec Martinez, to allow Zach Parise to get this puck in the net. That one hurts because Alec Martinez, he's a postseason hero, and he is an overtime hero as he sends it to the middle where it is none other than Tanner Pearson that can net the game winner. So Martinez redeems himself in overtime after allowing that tying goal in the 3rd period, wins it in overtime. Kings get the win. And anytime, Ange, even if the Raiders lose, anytime the Kings get a win, it's a good day. It's a good day.
Right, it kind of balances out the universe a little bit.
Somehow. Raider fans, I really do feel badly for you.
I was going to say, what
it'll
about the
be
Rams?
okay.
What do we get when we throw that into the mix, too?
We don't want to talk about the Rams or the 49ers right now, or the Chargers. No, we just keep it on a positive note.
Yay, Kings.
Straight ahead. Go Kings, go.
Thanks, Julie. Well, coming up next,